Welcome to another episode of Island Turtle Talk presented by BOMISpirit. I'm Island Turtle. You can see I have a guest with me today, Ashley Jagmohan. And before we get started today, I really wanted to call in Spirit Team and help to contain the space before we get started. So if you're listening or you're watching, by all means, follow along with this. If you're driving, please pay attention to driving. But let's go ahead and get started into this. I call upon the animal spirits, the elementals, our ancestors, our guides, our guardians, our star family, angels and archangels, and gods and goddesses who support us on our path and in this present moment and support the collective. I also call upon anyone that I have failed to mention who supports us in love, in joy, in truth, integrity, and divinity. I call upon the gold ray of the Christ consciousness to bathe us in that golden ray and ground us into this space, ground us into this present moment as we move into this exchange of energy with all of you. Aho. Aho. Now, Ashley will take us deeper into the space, and we will get started from there.
If you're not already, gently close your eyes. Connect to the flow of your breath. And with focus on our exhales, exhaling out anything you did before this. Exhaling out anything you got going on later. Clearing and letting go of any conversations, places, or situations that may have snagged your energy. Clearing everything out. So it's just us here together, wherever you are. Shifting our focus to our inhales. And connecting to a moment where you felt incredible love. Whether that's love that you received, love that you shared, love for where you were or what you were doing, love for self. And as you inhale, breathing in all of this incredible love. With each breath, allowing this love to fill up your body, flow through your vessel, and wrap around you so that you are filled with and held in this beautiful love. Gently shifting our awareness to our root chakra at the base of the spine. And visualizing and sending our roots down into the earth. With every breath, our roots grow deeper and deeper down into the depths of the earth. And feeling the presence of Great Mother Earth reaching back up to hold us here. We thank you, Great Mother, for your guidance, protection, and support in this space, throughout our days, and through each and every moment of our lives. Allowing an aspect of yourself to stay here, held by Earth Mother, and gently welcoming your energy to move through your central channel up to your crown, and from our crown, sending greetings and gratitude to all of the benevolent beings, physical and non-physical, who support our individual earth and soul journeys. Thank you. May this space be a tribute to truth, love, joy, and the greatest good of all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley, for that. That was really nice.
Thank
Now,
you.
Rob, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just excited.
It's okay. I know. I'm all relaxed. So, Ashley Jagmohan is a dear friend of. I'm like, I want to keep my eyes closed. Is a is a dear friend of mine who I've gotten to deepen my relationship with this last year, and it's just been amazing and beautiful. And I just feel very grateful that we get to be in each other's realities. I think is a good way to say that. Um, Ashley does tea ceremony. She's a ceremonialist, really at your core, I would say, and also a very, very strong channel. I don't think a lot of people, well, mainstream wise, are probably not aware of what tea ceremonies are. So I was wondering if you could dive into explaining tea ceremony and all it encompasses and all of that. If you could take us through that.
I would love to. So when we think of tea, we normally think of like hibiscus, lavender, chamomile. These are more herbal infusions. When we drink tea for ceremony, we're drinking the tea tree, which is the Camellia sinense plant. The lineage of tea that I study is Cha Dao, which comes from ancient shamanic Taoism and Tibetan Buddhism. And when we drink tea in ceremony, it really opens us up to connect to nature, to ourselves, and to the infinite universe. So, in a tea ceremony, we all sit together in silence and we serve several rounds of tea. And through drinking the tea, it allows us to really open up and feel whatever we need to feel in those moments. Tea is adaptogenic, she's intuitive, she's intelligent. So she works through us for whatever we need in those moments. So that sometimes that can be like tears, that could be grounding, that could be downloads or visions. It's whatever you need in that moment. Uh, yeah. That's the gist of tea, but it's really such a special practice, and where I feel like a lot of meditation prior to when I discovered tea, I would try to sit and like be quiet and like do the things, but there was just so much going on that it was hard for me to really like tune into myself. And because tea is such a yin spirit, um, it really allows you to have this thing that you're doing, drinking the tea, that takes you deeper and deeper within yourself. So it's really like a journey that you go on through your inner world as you drink tea.
Yeah. Yeah. I love sitting in tea ceremony with you. I've only sat with, I think, just two people, excuse me, you and Christina, as far as sitting in tea ceremony. And I'd love to like, keep doing that as a practice, even though it's like, obviously it's being facilitated by you. I really do like it. It's a very gentle way, like you were saying, that yin spirit of journeying, really. And I know everyone's experience is so different. And you know me, I'm always like, I'm always journeying. So it's a softer way for me to do that, which I really like. And I remember you telling me too, because it's like, every time you bring out a tea, it's like from a different place and a different year. And I don't know. I just think that's very cool that like you have these different sort of magics coming in, right? Like into the ceremony from where they are and when they are. Just so fascinating.
Yeah, like some people collect aged wines. I collect aged teas.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's just so cool. Like you said, each of them having their own energy, their own spirit, and getting to know tea and getting to know myself through getting to know tea has just been like the greatest blessing of my life.
yeah. And I think it's a good one for like people who haven't done ceremony at all before and they don't like
Yeah,
know what they're getting into because it is so gentle and like all encompassing. Because some people, they come to me and they want to like do an ayahuasca ceremony or what have you. And it's like, tea's good. Tea's a good like for all ages and demographics, I think.
yeah, like tea isn't psychoactive. So it is a plant medicine, but unlike ayahuasca or cannabis or mushrooms or, all of the things, tea is so gentle that it like you could just sit there and drink tea and leave grounded and it's going to do something for your spirit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, the topic of plant medicines alone, I feel like we've already talked about together for hours and hours. And I've talked a lot about it a lot, like here on the channel as well. Just yeah, the this like strong desire for people to get into like the psychoactive plant medicines versus like literally all other plants that are around us, right? They're all medicines in their own way. Sitting this morning, that was something else that kept coming to me was that they are medicines, but they're spirits. Like first before medicine, they are spirits. So something for me to like, I think I'm just saying it out loud because it needs to be said. But yeah, to treat them and look at them as spirits. Because I also experience the other side. I think we all do the other side of that in the collective, where people are very quick to almost discount plant medicines because they've also been misused, really, and kind of misunderstood and like discounting the fact that they are literally spirits in their own right.
Yeah. I'm reading a book right now called Braiding Sweetgrass, which I told you about and like highly recommend. It's full of indigenous wisdom and teachings from plants. And she talks a lot just in the way that she talks about the earth and plants. There's just so much reverence and respect for these plants as like friends and teachers. And my own journey, I have dealt with addiction and abusing substance and had to like cut myself off from doing it whatsoever. Um, so that now, I guess, I feel like right relationship with it all, you know. And there's definitely still like moments where I teeter totter with cannabis. um, but just being fully honest,
Yeah.
with you know, um, but it's a practice, right? Just like with everything in life, is like a practice that we get to learn from and grow from.
Yeah, and it's funny as as you mentioned the like you teeter totter with cannabis, like the whole spirit thing came back. So I was being nudged to mention that, spirits also like to play, right? It's like, spirits obviously are there to like to do their thing and to teach wisdom, and they all got their own roles and jobs to do, but they're also
Mhm.
spirits, and like all spirits are also here to also enjoy and
Yeah,
partake. And obviously it doesn't even need to be said that clearly there's like a balance to everything. But yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
yeah.
Well, just reflecting on the way that you like saying it like that, it's like tea for me is like that opportunity for me to like deeply connect and like be still and to write my poetry, whatever. But where like cannabis is like, oh, I'm gonna have some fun. I'm gonna like dance around and like make some art and
Yeah.
play. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. It's funny because talking about plant medicines, well, you already know just from our friendship that I've worked with specific plant medicines like more closely, more directly in that sort of right, that focus, going deep within and really learning from them sort of a way. And of all the plant medicines I've worked with, I think the only one that really puts me in that state of like dancing is psilocybin, actually.
Mm.
Um, which is, I don't know, it's interesting because when I do work with these plant medicines, especially ceremonially, I'm much more about like grounding the energy. And so, well, so I just kind of like I close my eyes like and I'm just like I just go in. But psilocybin, the last time I sat with psilocybin, I definitely like had to get up and dance, and all this dragon, well, I told you, all this like dragon energy like came out. So I don't know, just very, very interesting for people who work with plant medicines in that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This morning when I was sitting outside for tea before we came here, I saw this bird land on the property, and it just looked like a dragon. I was like, oh, cool, of course.
Of course. Yeah, dragons were coming up this morning in my practice too. And we're right, Chinese New Year too. We're entering the year of the dragon. I think the whole collective has been feeling that dragon energy. So I'm just curious as to like how that's gonna develop over time. Have you been getting like more like downloads about dragons or anything like that?
Honestly, not specifically, no. But just like tuning into it right now, for me, I feel like embracing my dragon this year is
Mm.
embracing my fire and like, like being big and not caring. Like if people see me, just like letting my dragon out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. So I have so many things coming up to mention that I'm like, oh no, those are private things that we'll talk about later. And for my journey as well, like with dragon energy, it's taken me a little bit to get like receptive to dragon energy. Just being totally transparent for those who are watching, because I know a lot of people are really into dragons. And then when we sat with T, when we were last together,
Mm.
um and my dragon came out to like help me, and I was like, oh, okay, like that was kind of, I think, the final like cementing of like it's okay to work with dragon energy for me in that way. So, and but very different than like fire, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
As you're talking about your connection to dragon energy, my heart is just like fluttering.
It's taken me a little while. It's taken me a bit, but I'm there. I'm definitely there. And I've been trying to call on her more, and it's still, I'm still getting to know her. I'm definitely still getting to know her. So we'll see how that unfolds as we enter the year of the dragon. Um, but also, I mean, everyone knows that I'm a channel, but I also mentioned that you're a channel as well, and people can probably already tell we're getting like downloads already. Um, but if you could also talk about your experience with channeling and how you work with channeling currently, for people as well, I think would be interesting.
Okay. Well, when I'm channeling, I receive visual, audible, sensory information. And sometimes I just know when I don't know how I be knowing, but I know.
Yeah.
And just like how we dropped in today, I normally drop us in just so we're both meeting at that like grounded, heart open space. And then I let things flow. So sometimes I'll be talking from me, sometimes I'll be talking from angel, guide, ancestor, whoever wants to show up for that person based on their intentions, or what they need in those moments. And yeah, whenever we're done, I will close it down with a little closing prayer to just like secure the space. And we talk about it to like have clarity if anything came up. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's how my one-on-one sessions go.
Yeah. Awesome. Um, yeah, channeling is like, I don't know. I love channeling. I do. I love channeling. I sometimes how do I want to say this? There's like specific words that want to come out for this. I want to like make sure I get the right words. I
Mhm.
think when people want to pursue channeling, I think they run into a lot of challenges. And I think sometimes also maybe run into situations, particularly with other people, that may not be so great.
Mhm.
So if you have any advice to give anybody out there who like wants to pursue channeling, or they think they're a channel and they're not sure, you know, I think some just insight into your own experience with, what you could provide to people would be helpful.
Yeah, well, I feel like everybody is a channel in their own right, right? So like if you are in a flow state, that to me is channeling. So whether you're creating art in that space or you're moving in that space or you're singing in that space, that's channeling some kind of energy. I always like to set the space before I open myself up. Calling in protection, calling in beings of love, just to be clear in myself and with what's coming through. And because I do that, I feel like it allows me to feel more comfortable with whatever is coming through. Um, but I feel like when I start to like question it or like doubt it, then it like will kind of stop, or it kind of gets like sticky, I guess is a way that you could say it.
Yeah.
Um, where I it's like that's when I come back in and it's not like spirit flowing through me. But I don't know. I feel like when it comes to channeling, of course, you can decide that you want to be a channel and pursue it. But I do feel like when it's the right time for things to emerge, they just will. Like in my own experience with channeling, I was highly interested in it. I thought it was really cool. And like I loved listening to channelers. And I got a book called Opening to Channeling. I think it's called Open to Channel or Opening to Channeling. It doesn't matter. Um, by Sanaya Roman, I believe. And I was reading that book while I was on a cross country road trip. And can I,
Yeah,
my,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
We're here to
I
talk.
was like,
Yeah.
sometimes my stories are like these little legs of synchronicity. So they don't make sense to the end, but whatever, it doesn't matter. So, long story, a little bit shorter. I'm going to try. Um, I had watched this super activating movie. And that night had planned a trip with my roommate at the time, Sam. And the next morning, I was at my altar shuffling my cards, asking the universe, do you have any messages for me? And as I'm shuffling these cards, asking, do you have any messages for me? Sam knocks on my door and says, hey, I was just meditating and like your guides came and said they want to talk to you. And I was like, whoa, okay. And a little bit time passes. We end up going on this trip, had a near death experience in the woods where we had to call the fire department and get saved, and very beautiful experiences as well. But when we finally got to the destination that we had planned that night that I saw the movie, we had asked, why we almost died in the woods. And our whole thing going on the trip was like the internal world was going to mirror the external world. So we're like, what's going on within us for us to like almost die? And Sam has and is already a gifted channeler. So she started asking. And when we're receiving this information, I felt this feeling kind of like stir in my stomach. And I felt like I wanted to talk. And Sam was like, they want you to channel, actually. And her and her guides actually like led me through the process of like letting go and letting spirit flow through me. Um, So I guess that's my initiation into channeling. So I had already had the desire to do it. I was like studying a little bit, doing some practices on how I could do it. And in the perfect timing, it happened. So I feel like just allowing yourself to move at the pace that your soul wants to move at,
Mm-hmm.
that like having that co-creation with spirit where you're just like in flow with it and not pushing it would probably be the best way to, I guess, make it happen, or to just like have that have that harmony for it to happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you and I are always on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Anything that's in flow and a natural state of like of just energetic fluctuation is just how things are, and just how things are moving and grooving. And I definitely think, obviously, if like, you want to nurture anything, putting work into it is always a good idea. But yeah, I do find like sometimes people like just want to do it, but then there's energetic resistance because maybe they're not supposed to, right? So it's like, so I think there's always that. But yeah, I feel like people who are channels and like they're just in that flow of it, it's just happening. It's just,
Mhm.
it's just happening. Yeah.
Yeah. And like sometimes I say stuff to people and I have no idea why I said it, but it's like they're so taken aback and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
Because we're just like you said, we're just in it. We're just in that space.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And it's funny, as we're talking about channeling, my headphones are like being all weird and stuff.
Mm.
Sorry, hold on. Okay. I think we're good.
I'm like trying to quiet my burp. The
Oh no,
energy.
you're fine. You're fine. I get shaman burps all the well, I get shaman burps all the time. I've definitely been having a lot of weird stuff going on, like hearing wise. Well, you bore witness to some of that too. And I know it's just like something I'm going through with like my upper chakras, but I definitely think collectively there's a lot going on there just because of the year that we're moving into and all of these like air, ether, sound, elemental energies, frequencies that we're all moving into. If anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. I'll probably talk about it another point, sun down the line randomly. But yeah, yeah. Anyway, sorry, try not to get distracted by that.
No, it's interesting. This morning I woke up and I felt like I like something was like vibrating somewhere in my house. So I had actually dreamt that we were together, like while we were actually together.
Oh,
We must have, yeah. And we were like trying to find this like wand thing. I don't know, it was cool. But I woke up and I like heard all these vibrations, and I was actually like searching my house to see if I could find the source of it, and I couldn't. And like the closest I got was when I got to like that big window to go outside. So it was like I guess it's just the energy of Earth is what I was hearing or something.
yeah, I love that sound. I love that sound. I love when I can hear just the earth, and when all the other crazy noises like start to dissipate. Um, Excuse me. I've definitely been hearing weird noises too. Uh, I guess you could. I guess in a way they're kind of vibrations, but yeah, I've been hearing a lot of weird noises too. But I also live in Sedona. Weird things happen at night. I like. Oh, there go my headphones again. Weird things happen at like 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and it's just kind of like, oh, okay, that's there. I see. I get it. Yeah.
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 The other day, Riley and I were talking. Riley's my partner. Um, and I can't remember what we were talking about, but there was like a huge bang in the attic. And like, because things happen like that so often in our lives, it's just like, okay, that's a confirmation.
Yeah.
What is that? I don't know, but it's a confirmation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you said we were hanging out in Dreamtime or Astraling last night.
Mhm.
I definitely had some weird dream time. I want to say more early this morning. So I wouldn't be surprised if I was astraling with you because I woke up with that feeling of like you've been like working all night, you know.
Mhm.
But yours sounds way more pleasant than what I what I recall from my own Dreamtime experience. Um,
Well, I mentioned the pleasant parts, but we were working.
oh, okay, okay. So maybe what I saw was like a part two to whatever we did because it was weird. It was like it kind of was a memory, but it almost like a parallel timeline, sort of parallel reality sort of deal. Almost like it felt like modern times, but there were things that were futuristic. It's like a weird word to use, but futuristic, and some things that almost felt very antiquated. Like there were like kind of like the old ways of like markets and like plazas, right? Where there's just like all these people who are just like selling food and all these things. And it's just kind of the way of life. But it was very like modernized. And I feel like I'm hearing farmers markets. I'm like, I know we have those things, but you know what I mean, right? Where it's like everyone just congregated like in a central place and just did everything in that central place. So there's a lot of that going on. And like, and there was this again, the whole I've had this whole theme of like veiling of people. It's a thing. Um, and this dude was like, I needed a key from him, I guess, to get into a room. And like, so I was like tailing him and like talking to him, but he like refused to give it to me. And then we went into this space and like in this like in that market. And I was talking to this lady and it was about this whole key situation. And she gave me something to like rectify the situation, but it was like a powder. I don't know. It was weird. It was weird. It felt like I said, parallel timeline, past life, weirdness, just weirdness. And I looked very different. I definitely had a different body in whatever that was.
So interesting. Part of it reminds me of kind of like, I guess what you and I both desire in a way of like having that kind of community that can come together where we have these kinds of marketplaces, where there's the magic woman with the powdered herbs that can offer something to help rectify whatever we're going through.
Yeah, she's like, here, just take this, just take this. I was like, okay. Like as I was taking it, he like vanished and I had to like catch up with him. But yeah, it was, I don't know, it was weird. But yeah, definitely we both crave that kind of communal way of life. And I definitely think that's where, well, I'm not gonna say the whole collective is headed, but there's a chunk of the collective, there's a timeline of the collective that I think is definitely heading there. And it's gonna be very exciting for whoever that plays out for. Um, sorry, so many things just came in. It's like dee, dee, dee.
Mhm.
Another thing I've been reflecting on that I really reflected on this in this morning practice. Oh, they just took it from me. It was like oh, maybe I'm not supposed to talk about it.
That one
um
was for you.
yeah, I was like, oh, okay, let me think of another way to talk about it. With this year coming up, there, did you just hear that?
Mhm.
With this year coming up, I could there's it's all about choices. There's a lot of themes about this upcoming year, but choices seem to be the biggest thing. And even as I've been talking to other people about what they're tuning into 2024, everyone almost seems to have a completely different take on it, which I think has been kind of different than previous years. So it's almost like I'm feeling these branching out again of all these different timelines, like kind of how we had 4 years ago of there was like a massive divergence of I want to say like maybe like two, three collectives. This year feels almost like 7, 8, like
Mhm.
exponentially more of what people are going to be perceiving and experiencing. So it's going to be interesting how that plays out. But choices are definitely at the core of that, along with all these other themes, right? Of using our throat, our expression, how we're learning, how open we are to other people and building with other people, and how much we're living in the old versus the new. So it's going to be interesting how this year plays out.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited, especially with like some of our plans, both individually and together. And yeah.
Yeah, you and I got a lot of plans. So anybody who's watching, listening, definitely keep your eyes peeled for some things that could be coming out this year, that Ashley's doing individually, that I'm doing individually, and that we are also doing together. We already did a little project together, of the astrology posters. So a lot of you already know I did astrology posters. So Ashley actually inspired me to do that. Ashley does a moon calendar. Well, you did. I mean, let's be real. You did. You know, and it was just very natural. It was like I think literally within a matter of minutes, it was like poster, ooh, astrology poster, and then we just planned it out, and we're like, okay, we'll do it, and it was like just easy. Well,
Mhm.
the wishing it into existence was easy. I'll say it that way. But Ashley does a moon calendar every year. And so we decided to do this as like a sister project. So we have these individual calendars, but they go really, really well together. And so Ashley's been putting together a way we can like actually, have them available as a bundle for anybody who wants them as a bundle. So just keep your eyes peeled for that. So there's that. And Ashley and I have also talked about doing a couple of retreats this year that I'm very excited about. I we'll give more details as like planning gets underway, but
Yeah,
those are things. Those are things that are getting worked out in the sphere.
I'm excited.
Yeah. No, I am too. I'm very excited. Especially because also me and Ashley are going to be holding ceremony together for people. And I think that's something individually we've wanted to do. Well, you've already been doing it. You've been doing it. But now now it's like a chance for me to like really work on that skill set of mine just as a shaman and as a medicine woman. And then to do it together just feels so like yummy. Yummy, I think is a good word for it.
Yeah, and like in our friendship, just us sharing ceremony with one another, we've both like learned so much and grown so much, and just having that like space held for each other has just been like so beautiful.
It really has. It really has. And I don't want to get like too into the emotions of it because you know how I am. Uh, I get really carried away with my emotions in a good way. It's a
It's
gift.
beautiful. It's
Uh,
perfect.
yeah, it's me. It's just who I am. But to experience that in a way where I think both of us never thought we could,
Mhm.
and then to have it just like be happening and we didn't have to like think about it. It's just like yeah, it just happened. And we have
Yeah.
grown a lot. And so this year the growth is probably going to be exponential.
Mhm. And I love how like just easy our relationship and friendship has been. Um, where like, we lived in community together this year
We
and like
did.
we both prior to had sworn off ever living with other people ever again. Um, but just like the level of like respect and love for one another just it just makes everything so easy. The love,
Yeah.
the respect, and the integrity, I feel like, is what makes it all so easy.
Yes, definitely. And like you said, never ever thought I could live with anyone, honestly. Like I did have one relationship in the last what 10 years? When's the last time I actually lived with people? No, it's been more than 10 years. So it's been more than a decade that since I actually like lived with people who weren't family. Right. And then I had one relationship that like it was a really not great experience living with another person. But yeah, I wasn't really like afraid to do it. Like when it presented itself, it was like, okay, yeah, okay. Like this just makes sense. This just makes sense. And it was really easy and it was really fun. It like more than anything, it was also just really fun to like
Mhm.
live with people who were also magic. And then there was that just shared like friendship and love in that soul family kind of a way. Well, we talked about this recently where it was made very clear to me, and I knew, right? But I didn't know, but I knew um, that it is a divine love through friendship and soul family. And it's like how beautiful is that? Like that's amazing. Yeah.
And it's like we got to have the moments of like incredible ceremony, and then we also had the moments of just like getting to watch like our favorite TV show together, like having like those family moments. So it was like full spectrum family and friendship.
Making dinner together, like yeah, all the things. And we had our morning practices, which I also loved because it was like because you and I had our own individual, we have our very like individual ways of doing our magic and medicine, which is needed, which actually that's something that I did want to like pick your brain about or have you just kind of like free flow. It's like what's the word for that? Free flow on. Um the uniqueness of everyone's magic and how important it is to really honor that, right? It's like what really works best for you. And then as you start getting into the realm of doing magic with other people, right? How does that look and how does that meld? And it's like, and even you and I, it's like we already know that we're like figuring it out. Excuse me, shaman burps. um, and so it's nice to have a friendship where we know we are different, and so it's like as we're just like trying things out, and then like we need to adjust here or there, we can just do it, and it's not like a weird like thing. Like it doesn't get weird. It just is like, yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I'm trying to say. I feel like every
Yeah.
time I talk to Ashley, I like my words leave me because I feel like I can just like look at her and she knows what I'm what I'm thinking. Um, but yeah, the embracing of everyone's unique magic, I think, is so important. And like, well, again, we've talked about this for days. Just in the spiritual community, how people just keep trying to do what other people are doing, and it doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't serve anyone because it's like
Yeah.
we're not supposed to just follow each other.
Right. Like we're meant to forge our own path and like be guided by like our own heart and our own desires. And Like, where do I even go from there? Because that's what it comes down to. Is it's about like being in tune with yourself and what like you really want and like what your heart really wants and what your soul wants to say. Um, and I feel like there's so much distortion in just the way that things have been done and the way that even like communities connect, where it's like, a lot of the spiritual community. I'm like, okay, do I want to talk about this? Like
Hey,
a
we're
lot.
we're we're here to talk. You know,
We're
I
already
talk
here.
about a lot
We're
of
already here.
things here.
We're
Yeah.
already here. Like a lot of spiritual community. And like, don't get me wrong, I've definitely participated in them and like have had a lot of fun and joyous experiences. But it's so much about like cacao and aesthetic dance and like breath work. And it's like everybody's just doing like the same thing. But like, and yes, you can like learn these things and participate these things, and it brings so much like wealth and richness to like your life and like what you're doing. And 100% I can say that all of those things bring richness to my life. But we each have like our own individual offerings that we can bring to the world. And like, I feel like you can only discover that through really building an intentional connection with yourself and like with what you want and what you desire and like looking at your past, feeling into your future. I like my other than tea, one of my favorite practices is journaling. Because it's just like a little book that I get to have like that's just for me and like me talking to me and like, I say everything I want to say. Sometimes it's very empowering and manifesting, and other times I'm like calling myself out on my shit. But because I do that, I feel like I've been able to build such a strong relationship with myself where like
You're good.
I,
You're
I
good.
I genuinely like love myself so much, and as I say that, there's the little voice in my head that's like, okay, well there are some more parts of you could love a little bit more, But then again, that's just me being real with myself. That I know that I still have like so much more to learn and to grow, and as long as I feel like I keep listening to the rhythm, my own rhythm, and like what my heart wants, that it will be a beautiful evolutionary process.
Yeah, exactly. And also as we like honor ourselves, unfortunately, the part of that process too is also people having a hard time with that as well. And it's not a judgment because like, we've all been that person. I've been that
Mhm.
person. We've all been that person to throw judgment. Like it just is,
Yeah.
it's part of the human experience. And especially as we
Mhm.
do like evolve and ascend and just come home to ourselves and come home to spirit and all of that stuff. Um, but as we each embrace more of that, it's like, and the pushback happens, right? Like my whole journey, even just with musical tools, has been very unplanned, like very unplanned, but just kind of like just following my own compass, right? So it's like drums were the first thing. Well, really sound bowls, but like I didn't like. I enjoy them. I obviously don't like work with them like in that kind of a way. I enjoy them. Sometimes it's nice to just have a little sound like at the end or beginning, or sometimes you just need a little attunement, whatever, they're nice to have. But the drums, when the drums came into my reality, that was a huge moment for me because it was like, oh, I can use my gifts in this way, and there's drum journeying, and that's been great, and I love my drums. But then I gravitated towards the ukulele, and then now I'm going towards the flute. So it's like I have all these tools, but there are a lot of people who might cast judgment on that, or who have cast judgment on that, right? Because it's like, well, you're not like are you like, do you drum or do you do this, and why do you have three and not one, and like right, and all the things. And it's like,
Mhm.
this is just my flow, this is my magic, and we'll see where this ends up. Think especially for 6'2s, I think that's like such a thing. For anybody who's into human design, we're both 6'2s. um,
Mhm.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it feels good to be at the point where it's just meh, I just gotta honor my own magic, even if you don't understand it, right?
Mhm.
Because then that happens a lot too. When people just don't understand, they feel threatened, or then they want to say, oh, you're dark, or you're like something bad about you. You're bad. Something's
Mhm.
bad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned to you when we were last together, but someone recently told me, "Oh, so like tea is your thing." And it's like it's something that I love and it's 100% a part of me, but like I don't want to make anything like my thing. Because there's that like that like attachment to it, but
Yeah.
that's also so limiting when like we're all multifaceted beings and like can do so much with ourselves and our time. And like I think part of what makes life beautiful is like having so much available to us and like being able to experience so many different things. And like maybe the pathway for you to discover your own sacred sound is like dabbling in all these different things until you find the one that really speaks to you, or having all these different things because through them all you that's how you speak. You know what I'm trying to say.
I know what you're trying to say. I know what you're trying to say.
Power fit, it's
Well,
like,
go
well,
ahead. Go ahead.
having tools are they're gifts, it's really, it's a gift to have, to be able to have tools.
Exactly. And that's how I see it. It's like they all have had their different wisdom and medicine and magic that they've gifted me and I've connected with and connected back with them. But now they are tools that I use moving forward when I need to, whether
Mhm,
it's I'm just working with the earth or I'm in ceremony with family
mhm,
or I'm actually, holding space for another person. It's like cuz different people need different things, right? And that's the other thing. It's like there's nothing wrong with wanting to just learn one thing. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have like one or two disciplines. If that's your path, that's your path, and that's amazing. But for
mhm.
people who are a little bit more rainbow-esque, I think is a good way to put that. Even Gemini-esque, because they're actually pulling me into talking about 2024 in relation to that. Um, we do need a lot of these tools because we just other people are going to need different things from us. And
Yeah.
even when I do one-on-one sessions, it's been a bit because my life's been, what it's been. But even when I do one-on-one sessions, and I'm sure you've experienced this too, it's like there are times when, okay, they need cards. They need me to pull cards. Okay, they just need me to channel. Okay, they need me to guide them through a meditation. Okay, today that this person needs a drum, whatever it may be. Um, so I think it's a very like beautiful thing. And I feel very like grateful. And I used to struggle with like feeling like that I'm doing the right things, but I mean, I feel like I've worked through that already
Yeah.
at this point. Yeah.
I, yeah, same, same.
Yeah.
For me, the way that I do that is like my intuitive alchemy sessions, which I do in person. And then those are a little bit of me channeling and then a little bit of me using whatever tools they tell me to take with me that day. And then those are always going to be based on like whatever the person needs in that moment. Yeah. And I know like you and I both, when we're in that space, sometimes we're like moving stuff with our hands, and
Yeah.
we talked about it. It's like I don't even know why I'm doing this, but this is what I feel like I need to be doing, so I'm just gonna do it and let it flow. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's also what makes me excited for to do ceremony with you because it's like, oh, I get to like do my thing and it's okay. Because there have been times where I've been in ceremony with other people. Well, excuse me, and you already know, right? It's like, and I start doing my thing, and because right, they don't understand it, right? Then there's that like weirdness that happens. But I'm like, oh, I get to just like move the energy as it needs to be done, and that's like that makes me so happy. Like honestly, I am the most happiest when I'm in ceremony doing that. Like that's
Mhm.
when I feel the most myself, and just like I just want to do that 24/7, honestly, if I could.
Yes, please.
Yes, yes. And then regarding 2024, this year we're moving into all these like choices, right? Jupiter being in Gemini is a huge part of that. But also with Jupiter being in Gemini, it's also this expansion in the realm of learning. Like literally, in like it's a year of where this is a year to dabble. This is a year to go and try things and like be unencumbered with trying all these different things and having it be okay to try all these different things. And I think June is probably going to be the best month for that. Obviously, well, not obviously to me, January to April is like such a high for the collective, but June is going to be so Gemini. We have the full moon Gemini on 6/6. We have Sun in Gemini, Mercury in Gemini, Venus in Gemini. It's like Gemini, Jupiter in Gemini, just Gemini everywhere all day long. Gemini in June. So I'm just excited to like embrace that and see how the collective embraces that.
I'm hearing like sacred chaos.
Oh, it's gonna be
Yeah.
chaos. Oh, it's gonna be chaos for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. Um, you're flashing me back to a download I had. I don't remember when or where I was, when or where I was when this came to me, but it has been in like the back of my awareness for a bit. Um, this the concept of chaos and order, right? So it's like those are some just divine. That's part of just divine law that I think a lot of us have learned. But my guides, I'll say my team, um, they were telling me order is really an illusion. Like there really is no such thing as order. It's really just chaos, destructive chaos and constructive chaos, and then just everything in between. And it's like, oh, that actually makes like to me, that was like, oh, that makes so much sense, right? If everything's energy and everything's constantly fluctuating, there can really be no such thing as like an order to things, right? The order is the chaos.
Mhm. Yeah. And even that pulls me to like the white and black and the white and black and that we've been moving through the last couple weeks.
Yeah. So I haven't had a chance to share this on YouTube because I've been recovering from surgery.
Mhm.
But yeah, the polarity theme has been really in my face. Like really in my face. And Ashley spent some time with me. And we just started to get black and white everything, like black and white birds. I started seeing black and white cars, and I mean the cars painted black and white, not like separately, right? And then even today, like you said, we show up like with these colors and holding that polarity in the middle. Unity is a word for that, but like, and maybe this is something that's going to change as far as our own belief systems collectively is concerned, because I've also been what's okay right words, I want the right words for this.
Mhm.
I've just been very aware of words. I guess is just the better way to say that. I've been very, very aware of words. And so I can tell when someone is coming from a thought form or a belief and they're using certain words where I'm just like, oh, there's something missing there, or there's some sort of like there's something not clicking there. Like when I'm hearing people talk about this whole moving into unity, and I've been saying that a lot for the last few years. Is it unity? Yes, but the duality doesn't go away. It's not like suddenly everything becomes light. It's not like everything suddenly is just dark. It's like there is this middle that we're learning to hold, and that's not bad, that's not good, and it doesn't mean that we've like failed in some sort of ascension, whatever. I just think there's been some misunderstanding or misinterpretation of like what that means to be in that place of unity, even as I'm like oh, like using my hands and everything, right? It's like duality is still a thing, but it's not a bad thing. It just is. It just is.
It
Anyway, didn't
is.
mean to go on a whole tangent there.
No, it was perfectly needed. And it's like in that duality that we have the human experience where we have like I'm speaking from my own experience, like these dark moments, or these like traumatic things that happen, or even these little like trials, all these different things that we go through. And it's like through those dark things, because it feels weird
Yeah.
to label it as dark, right?
Yeah.
Like we go through those things and then it allows us to emerge with more light and with more radiance and like just learning lessons and things along the way. And like we wouldn't have that without duality. And like if like part of what I believe is like my soul is here to like grow, right? And like continuously evolve. And it's like through those obstacles, the evolution happens. So yeah.
Right. Exactly. And I think the better we all get at holding this place of unity when we go through those periods of ebb versus flow, it doesn't have to be hard, right? Because it's like, I think that, and that's also part of it too. I think people aren't really like talking about a lot. And and I also want, I feel they're like stopping me, like, you need to like say this before you continue. Um, I'm not implying that anyone is wrong in their beliefs, because whatever anyone's beliefs are is just where they're at, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a little bit of truth in everything, right? So this is just through my lens and my reality. But it just like needed to be said. but even as we learn to hold that place of unity more, and then we go through these ebbs, right? It's what makes it hard, or what makes it like in a place of suffering, is the perception of suffering, right? So if we can just hold our perceptions in that place of unity and just recognize this is just the way the energy is fluctuating, which is just very natural, and it's and everything's going to shift either way. It's like we don't have to stay in that place of like pain and
Mhm.
suffering. Yeah.
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 To speak on that point with my own experience, like, um, a couple years ago, I carried my daughter to 7 months and she passed away from a birth defect. And, you know, it was a very difficult time. I did cry a lot and like felt a tremendous amount of pain and grief. And there is an aspect of me that is still like grieving all of that and
Oh
like
yeah.
wanting to be a mother. But because I held on to that, right? Like that unity within myself. I was able to remind myself and remember like all of this is happening for a reason and in perfect timing. And I was able to find the gifts and the experience of like now I have a little angel baby guide and now I have like more faith in the divine order of things and however things are supposed to happen. And I cultivated like, well, I experienced a level of love within myself that I didn't know existed because of that love for my daughter. Um, so, I feel like, and not to compare, because everybody's journey is different.
Right,
Like
right.
people can go through an experience of child loss like that and like be debilitated by the pain of that. Um, and that's okay too.
Yeah,
That's okay.
yeah.
That's okay. That's okay too. But for me, I feel like tuning into that like unified place within myself is what's allowed me to like love the experience of it all. Yeah, and love myself more through that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, yes. Beautifully said.
Yeah,
Beautifully said.
thank
Yeah,
you.
and to be honest, like, do I want to go there? I was like, I could already feel a little bit of the collective is gonna be upset if I say that, but it wants to be said, so we're just gonna say it. Um, the idea of utopia is not the right word. uh, the idea of utopia, I think, while that can be a reality in a timeline for some people who can perceive that, nothing wrong with it. I don't I don't find it to be potentially sustainable or even fulfilling, to be honest. Um,
Well, for me, it feels boring. Like I wanna live. Like it's more life, Like I want to learn new things and go new places and like I don't know, like it just feels so monotonous and like conforming in a way for me.
I definitely think there's a version of that. I think there's
Yeah.
totally a version of that. Um, oh, they're making me say hard things today. They wanted me to circle back to what we were talking about with unique magic versus people who are not honoring unique magic, right? It's like that's kind of the illusion of utopia, isn't it? Right, where
Mhm.
people are just doing the same things because it's the light way or it's the right way, and that will lead to some sort of perfectionistic way of living. Um, but
Wow.
that's right. Like you just felt it. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead. Go
I'm
ahead.
I'm even feeling like some of that like culty stuff that we talked about like late last year and have had to experience or a touch, not experience, but touch.
Touch. Be
Um,
exposed to. Bear
be
witness
exposed,
to.
bear witness to in our own lives, and it's just it feels gross to even like really feel
Yeah.
into it. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So those things. Those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is the illusion of utopia, and I understand why it appeals to certain people. And again, I'm not judging anyone for whoever's been drawn to that notion. But then what's the point of being these different little energy bubbles that that we are, right? And how we can actually like work as a whole community, as a whole collective, as a whole machine, right? I forget how many years ago it was that I saw this like it was just it was a flash of a vision, and it was really just trying to hit like they were really just trying to hit that point home for me of like of the uniqueness of all of us, and like and it really is kind of like the perfection of almost like the human body, right? We're all these different little cells that make up these different muscles and organs and tissues and what have you, and we if we work together in that alignment, right, we can have this beautiful functioning collective reality.
Mhm.
Like yeah.
Well, I'm even thinking like utopia, uniqueness, unity. Like it's all about you. like you and knowing yourself is the key to all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I were to have a version of utopia, it would be here. It would be at that vibration, that frequency. And I realize anybody who's listening and you can't see the visual, I'm just literally just keep taking my hands and just putting it at my heart center is really all I keep doing. Um, yeah, if I had a version of utopia, maybe we need a different word for it. I know some people use the term like golden age and all of that. And I think golden age is probably the most appropriate at to this point, but I feel like there's another word that's going to emerge soon in the collective. Um, but being at that place to me is probably quote unquote utopia, golden age,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
For my utopia, I guess it would be just seeing everybody like embrace their own individualism in a way where you can just like see how different everybody is, but because we're all different, connected to our hearts, like we're the same. You know, we're all like brothers and sisters on this planet, and
Yeah.
having that sense of community and responsibility for loving ourselves also will translate into loving the earth and loving each other.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you just heard that. Did you? Oh,
I didn't hear
I just had a big bang after you said that. So
that.
just confirmation, just confirmation. Uh, oh, excuse me, shaman burps. Um,
Mhm.
I you know me, I love to talk. I love talking to you, but I'm also I'm feeling that nudge from my guides of like natural close.
Mhm.
So I'll mention we are naturally closing now. So where can people find you?
Okay, so I'm on Instagram at Prithvika, which is spelled Prthveeka. It means of the earth in Hindi, which is like my ancestry and just like I feel like such an essence of who I am is of the earth. And my website, I have now shifted to ashleyjagmohan.com. So it's my first and last name.com. And that's where you can book a reading, learn a little bit more about me, find my events and like tea ceremony. And yeah, and anybody is welcome to reach out. And I'm really good about emails.
She's really good. I'm really not.
Yeah, that's our duality,
Yeah,
right?
I really like our duality because like it does work really well. Like the things you're really good at, I want nothing to do with, and and vice versa. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, right. I'm happy to chat and share and yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming. I like, well, coming, being here, the connecting. Thank you so much for connecting. And I'm
Yeah.
sure people are going to be excited to book channelings with you and even just enjoy tea ceremony with you. Um, I always do. So I'm sure other people would too. So do you mind closing out the space for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Okay.
first, let me just thank you for having me here and being such a dear friend and being a part of my life. It's truly such a gift.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Ditto.
Okay. All right.
Also, sorry, really quick. I'll put all your information down below too for people to have easy access to as well. But just wanted to mention that because I realize if I don't, they might not look. So it's down there. Okay.
Cool. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Coming back to a place within self of connection. We send gratitude and thanks to all that we discussed, to all present. And we close out this space in truth, in love, and ask that any downloads, epiphanies, clarity that wants to come from this discussion, may it come forth with ease and grace in support of each of our own highest goods and for the highest good of all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, and aho.
Aho. I love you.
I love you too. And thank you for everyone who joined in on this, whether YouTube or elsewhere. And yeah, looking forward to just we'll see, just seeing you again. But also anything else that it comes in the future. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Bye guys. Take care.